Good afternoon, everyone. I would just give a minute for people to come in from the waiting room. As a reminder, please mute yourself unless you are appearing or testifying before the division. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing for the City of Boston. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. With us today is Executive Director Kathleen Joyce and myself, Rebecca Fu, Director of Operations. Calling first item, Mulville Inc., doing business as McGonagall's, located at 367 Neponset Avenue, 02122. Manager of record is Elizabeth Adele McCarthy. The request is to add the entertainment categories of audio device, widescreen TVs, disc jockey, up to 5 instrumentalists, and up to 2 vocalists for 7 days a week until 2 a.m. Who is present on behalf of the applicant?
Good afternoon. Tyler Hensler here for Mulville Inc. Joining me is Oren McGonigal, the owner.
Tyler, you can go ahead and present.
Sure. You're applying for a annual live entertainment license for DJ, dancing by patrons, up to 5 instrumental musicians, and up to 2 vocalists. This will be in addition to the non-live entertainment that we already have, which include an audio device and widescreen TVs. The hours we're requesting are 7 days a week from opening until 2 a.m. We do not plan to have entertainment every night until 2 a.m., but we are requesting the entertainment to match the time on our liquor license to provide maximum flexibility. McGonagall's has been open since December and has been seeing a lot of success. Live music enhances the concept, including traditional Irish bands, which includes the Boston Police Department bagpipe crew, as well as contemporary local artists that perform Irish country and pop music. It's a great concept for the immediate area, and it's occupying the newly renovated space at the old Dorset Hall. Community outreach was all favorable. We received approval from Pope's Hill. Since opening last month, we've heard nothing but compliments from the neighbors as well. With that, we want to thank the board for working with us through this opening process, and we're happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Director Joyce.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. As your attorney said, you've been open since December with such great success. You can't get in there on a Saturday night unless you get in there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But we're probably going to ask you some questions that we already know the answers to, but just so we can update our records. Did you do anything above and beyond what was already done for Dorset Hall as far as sound mitigation? Was there anything additional done?
Is this will I answer this, Tyler?
Yes, you do, Warren.
Yeah. So we put in the soundproofing boards here downstairs, and you can see them above my head. See the black boards here?
Okay.
You kind of see them. They are one of the things we've done. We are currently insulating a wall also, which is adjacent to the stage. We opened it up yesterday, and we're going to be spraying basically a foam in there to try and prevent some noise that's slipping out into our hallway, which leads to the back area of the restaurant. So we're doing other things as well to try and make the sound a little better in the room, and just try and police that as best we can, I suppose, is what we're saying.
So in the back where the bands are, where I can see right now, above that's residential, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a residential apartment owned by the landlord.
Okay. Have you been working with them in case they have issues with the sound?
Yeah, we are indeed. That's basically what we're doing right now. We are the wall that is adjacent is the only thing that kind of connects the spaces. We have 3 apartments above us here, and we believe this wall just beside us needs to be filled in. Basically, there's just a space in it, and we're going to just fill it in with foam, which is going to hopefully stop any kind of issues now. The landlord ourselves and one apartment above us have all been in communication.
Okay. We haven't received any complaints that I'm aware of, but it's great if you are just in communication with them. Should they have an issue in real time, you can just turn down the bass or
Yeah,
turn on the speakers.
they are. They have been customer. He's actually a BPD officer, the guy above us. So he loves the space. He just I think it's a vocal issue on a Saturday night is what is basically happening. But we're all talking about it honestly, and
Okay.
it's it's not really a big deal. But we're going to try and be preventative about it, anyways.
Okay, that's great. So you completed the community process. Or you have the letters of support from Pope's Hill. Um, what is the capacity?
254.
254, okay. Um, let me see. And so I'm assuming just based upon what you just were describing for me, that if those tenants have issues, they can call the manager or call you, Mr. McGonigal, and talk it through.
They have my number actually,
Okay,
my text on the weekends now. So
perfect.
last weekend was no text messages, so we're hoping the bit of work that we've done on the soundboards has done it. But yeah, we're all in communication.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. So this is for dancing by patrons, right? That's one of
Yes.
the requests. Okay. So the dancing by patrons, there's no, from what I saw when I visited, you would be pushing tables and chairs away for dancing, right? There's no like assigned dance floor, or am I wrong?
Right now, as it's set up, we're still in kind of the restaurant mode. But on the weekend, we take the whole table and chairs out of the private dining room, and that is kind of the dance floor area.
Okay. So is the downstairs all private dining?
No, we have a private dining room at the back where the stage is kind of what we call the private dining.
Okay,
So that's the kind of area where we clear out and let
I
patrons have
gotcha.
the kind of dance floor.
That makes sense. See, um, do you restrict age after a certain hour? Is it over 21 after a certain hour or a certain day of the week?
Yeah, so once we're serving dinner, we allow under 21s during while dinner's been served, but after dinner time, it's over 21s.
Okay. Any cover charges? Do you have a cover charge at all for events?
Well, if a band like we bring in bands from Ireland, so there's a possibility that we might be doing tickets just to kind of cover the costs of them coming and accommodation. But then there's not our first band from Ireland next month
Okay,
if
and people
if this goes ahead.
people would pre-purchase online tickets? Is that how it would work?
Yeah, we would normally if we were doing something like that, we would put it on a website like Eventbrite or something and try and do it through there.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Rebecca to jump in. If you do allow people to pay at the door for a cover charge, they have to post it. Is that right, Rebecca? Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that being a thing with us here. We're not going to put like a monetary door charge on. That's not going to be, if there ever was, it would be for a concert and we'd be ticketed online.
Okay. I don't think you do, but I'm gonna ask, do you use promoters at all?
No,
Okay. Um, so what time,
fortunately, I have to do it all myself.
yeah. You were saying that after dinner hour, it's 21 plus. What time is that usually?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Okay. And then the tell me a little bit about the staffing model as far as how many security you have at dispersal, what your plan is. Do you have any sort of overall operations plan on file that you use to train your staff? So first, let's start with how many security staff do you have?
We have 10 security staff right now. We're using about 8 on average, I think, and kind of 2 is kind of fill-ins, and they're basically we have 8 every Friday and Saturday night. We have 2 on a Thursday and 2 on a Sunday.
Okay.
And the rest of the nights now we're fine as we are. Like we're here and other staff members are here, so we seem to be okay them nights.
And how do you deal with closing and dispersing the crowd at the end of the night?
Very similar to what I do in all the bars. We finish at 1 basically. That's how we're doing it. We try and stop the music, just so they can close the bars down, and gives us that hour just to let people kind of go gradually out into the street, get their Ubers or whatever, and find that's been very good. Like by 2 o'clock, we don't have anyone in the room.
Okay.
That's how we do it in the Dubliner and Coronation and all too. It's just saves a lot of hassle for everybody involved, I think.
Okay. And then speaking of Ubers, is there a designated rideshare pickup area, or is it just in front of
There's
the
not a designated, no, I wouldn't say, but it seems to be just in the front of the building or pulling into your car park on the left-hand side of the building.
okay. And then my last question is just to be aware about the lines outside to make sure someone's monitoring them. To make sure there's no fights, that people aren't drinking in line, bringing miniature bottles and taking a pop before they get in. So if that isn't a part of your written operations plan, something you should think about, and to have for training purposes or for inspection purposes, somebody going down the line and making sure people aren't already intoxicated before they get in, they're not starting fights, they're not drinking in line.
Yep, no problem.
Do you have cameras on the premise
Yes,
inside, and do you have cameras outside?
yep. We have cameras inside and we have 1, 2, 3 cameras outside.
Okay, and how long does the video get stored?
I'm not sure exactly. Most of them are around 90 days, but
Okay.
I'd have to ask the camera guy to confirm that one for me, but we don't have any process of
Okay,
getting rid of it. Like.
just asking for on the for the cameras, should there be any sort of fight or assault and battery, even if the police don't show up and write you up for it right away, just to preserve the video, it's helpful to you. It's helpful to us, and it goes a long way towards cooperating. Sometimes we'll have a public hearing and the licensee will say, well, we didn't even know we were getting written up until 2 weeks later and we've already erased footage. Just as a business plan, if it's saves for 90 days and you're aware that a fight occurred inside, just best practices to save that video and to cooperate with the police. There's no outside entertainment, right? No speakers or anything?
No.
Okay. Rebecca, what did I miss?
Yes, so we have that the manager of record is Elizabeth Adele McCarthy. Is she still manager?
Yep.
Can you tell me about her experience?
No, she's been with us for 20 years now, managing Emirates in Beacon Hill, and then moved over to 6B, which would be Roxanne's now, and then just been involved in our management system for 20 years, yeah.
Do you always have a manager on staff every night?
Yeah, we have 4 managers here at the moment, so we're pretty busy. So we have managers going 2 at a time most days.
Since this is a larger venue, if you could submit a security plan, dispersal, emergency, and operations plan. Especially when you have bands, large bands, and it's very crowded, just something like that for us to put on file.
Okay.
We can get you that.
Thank you. I believe that is all we have for questions. Kathleen, do you have anything else?
No questions, just wishing you good luck. I don't know if there's anyone else who's here to testify.
Okay. So are there any individuals who would like to testify, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time I will defer to you, Chairwoman. Our office is unaware of any concerns at this time. I believe there was a similar entertainment license with the previous establishment, Dorset Hall. But we're really pleased to hear that the applicant is working with neighbors, especially the ones upstairs, and just keeping open lines of communication. As I mentioned, we're unaware of any concerns at this time. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
You? Are there any others who would like to testify? Seeing none, the division will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling next item. We have Alston Live Concessions, LLC, doing business as O'Brien's, located at 3 Harvard Avenue, Boston 02134. Manager of record is Timothy Philbin. The request is to add the entertainment categories of audio device, jukebox, widescreen TVs, dancing by patrons, up to 5 instrumentalists and up to 5 vocalists for 7 days a week until 1 a.m. Who is present on behalf of the applicant?
Tyler Hensler again, for Alston Live Concessions. Joining me is the manager of record, Tim Philbin. There he is. Again, Alston Live Concessions purchased O'Brien's Pub last month from the previous owner, Rhubarb Inc., which includes the liquor license. So they're here for the new annual live entertainment license, again for the 5 vocalists and 5 instrumental musicians and dancing by patrons, in addition to the non-live entertainment that I believe they already have issued and hanging up in there. Nothing is changing as a result of this transfer. We actually just took the old entertainment license and copied it for our application. It's going to be exactly like the O'Brien's that has been there for 30 years. The floor plan's the same, hours are the same, that 1 a.m. closing, and the manager of record is the same. Even the bookings, that we have bands will remain the same because they were booked months ago. So there's no change even there. Like I said, manager of record will be Tim Philbin. Tim is currently the approved manager of record at O'Brien's. So his staying on, promotes the bar, continuity as the bar changes hands. Community outreach was a success. We received support from Alston Civic, and have heard nothing but excitement for the continuing service of the community from O'Brien's. So with that, we thank the board for working with us here and through the transfer process, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, attorney. Nice to see you, Mr. Philbin. I don't know if I have met you before, but I see your name on emails about 3 or 4 times a month. So I feel like I do know you.
For a long time, yeah.
And I think it's for O'Brien's too, correct?
O'Brien's well, it's O'Brien's currently, and it previously was with that Great Scott.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. What type of abutters are there? Are they residential or commercial?
There's commercial. Looking at O'Brien's from the front to the right is currently a consignment shop selling women's furnishings, and to the left is a hairdresser.
Okay.
And Tim, across that street are more bars and a hardware shop, right?
It's a hardware store. There is a pet sitter and a record shop.
Got it.
Okay. Hours of operation are what?
We typically open up around 7 o'clock, and while we have a 1 a.m. closing hour, we're rarely open that late, maybe on weekends.
Okay. And is this primarily a music venue?
Yes.
Okay. Did you say there are speakers outside?
No.
No speakers outside. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what has been done over the years or recently as far as soundproofing, efforts to mitigate noise emanation, or if there are sound issues that do arise, is there a contact person on the premise? How should they contact you? Email, phone? Has it been an issue before?
We haven't really had any issues before. Recently, I inspected our rear door, and noticed that there was some um, well, weather stripping that was failing a little bit, so we replaced that, making sure that base cabinets are lifted off the floor to mitigate sound transfer, and just trying to be a good neighbor.
Okay. And then I know sometimes you have over 18 events. You have,
Occasionally, yes.
okay, occasionally. Tell me how that works. Do you restrict the age after a certain hour, or what do you do to identify those that are not 21? Is it wristbands?
Yeah, it's kind of like a three-part system. So if you came into the door and you were deemed to be underage, you would receive X's on your hands, plus superimposed a stamp over that. If you're over the age of 21, you would get a wristband plus the stamp. Any effort to erase the X's on your hand would also erase the stamp. So if somebody came up to the bar and they had nothing, then we know that they've altered their stamps or X's.
Okay. I haven't heard of that before, but that sounds like a good system. And then do you use promoters?
There's one company that we've worked with, Get to the Gig, but they're very well known in Boston. They actually just started booking over at City Winery, the Crystal Ballroom over in Somerville. So it's not like we're using fly-by-night people. These are very that we don't have ins with, and they'll say, "Hey, we have a band that we don't have room for. Can we do the show at O'Brien's?"
Okay. And do you charge a cover charge for events?
The only way somebody would pay at the door is if they didn't purchase a ticket in advance, in which case, there's signage up front, how much ticket prices are, what the age limit is, and they were given a receipt if they pay in cash.
Okay. And how early do the doors open before an event?
Typically, doors would open at 8 o'clock.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about your staff, the security staff, how many you have, what's the staffing model?
We probably have about 10 to 12 people on staff. I mean, we typically, with a capacity of only 70 people, there's only 3 people typically working at the night. A bar tests the person at the door.
And then what time is closing?
Closing is at 1 o'clock. We typically do a music curfew at 12:30.
Okay. And try to get people out after the music stops?
Yes. Usually we don't have to try. They usually just go.
Okay. And then can you share with us what your dispersal plan is to avoid loitering outside as far as like people waiting for ride shares and stuff?
We're fortunate enough that there's a dedicated loading zone as far as Ubers and stuff picking up. That moves real quick because it's right there.
Okay.
This time of year, it's easier to disperse.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Rebecca, do you have any?
I only have one, and this is just for the record. Tim, can you just describe your experience as manager and how many other managers are there?
Sure. There are 2 other shift managers, Joe McMahon and Steve Dyer, who will handle the 2 nights that I'm not there a week. My experience, I started working at Great Scott in 1987 of Great Scott and O'Brien's. They had the same owner at that point, and O'Brien's Pub.
Oh, thank you. Same thing, Tyler, security, dispersal, emergency, and operations plan.
We can do that.
And then, okay. Are there any individuals who would like to testify, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time we'll defer to your judgment. We've heard nothing but good things related to O'Brien's staying in the community. They connected with the Allston Civic Association. As you heard, this has been a long-standing bar and music venue in the Allston neighborhood that draws people from all over. It's quite the fixture in the community, and members are happy that it's staying in the community and staying open. With that, we'll defer to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify? Seeing none, the division will take this under advisement. Those are all the items before the division today. Thank you, everyone.